Inside Robert Redford's family tragedies. What he said about the deaths of his two sons. Robert Redford, who died on Tuesday, September 16th at 89 years old, was a father to 4 children in his lifetime. 2 of his kids, sons Scott and James, died years before the celebrated actor and filmmaker, in 1959 and 2020, respectively. Redford and his first wife, Lola Van Wagenen, welcomed 4 children together: Scott, Shauna, James and Amy Redford. The former couple's firstborn, Scott, died from sudden infant death syndrome, SIDS, at 2.5 months old. James, who was the third eldest, died of cancer at 58 in October 2020. Robert divorced Van Wagenen in 1985. Decades later, in 2009, he tied the knot again with Sibylle Saggers after first meeting in 1996 when the actor invited her and a group of friends to dinner at his Sundance Mountain Resort in Utah. Robert rarely spoke about Scott, who was born on September 1, 1959 and unexpectedly died of SIDS on November 19. In 2017, though, the All the President's Men star opened up about Scott's death in an interview with Esquire UK. "I was only 21. My wife was 20. We were just starting our lives. I was just starting my career in New York. Of course it was traumatic, and how that plays out over time, I don't know," Robert said at the time. "We had to deal with it. You have to move on. And we had other children who came. But something like that doesn't get completely dismissed. It probably shows up in various small ways you're not even aware of. I'm sure there's a lot of this stuff that's subconscious. But it's pretty traumatic when it happens, particularly when you're that young. You're not equipped to deal with it," he added. When Esquire asked if he ever spent time in therapy to unpack the loss, Robert said, "Sure I did. But it never worked out. I tried a while back, 2 or 3 times. I found myself trying to psychoanalyze the analyst." James, meanwhile, was diagnosed with primary sclerosing cholangitis, a disease that affects the liver and bile ducts, as an adult. He received 2 liver transplants in 1993 and founded a non-profit called the James Redford Institute for Transplant Awareness following those surgeries. In 1999, James also released a documentary, The Kindness of Strangers, which followed organ donors and recipients. James' wife, Kyle, announced his death at 58 in an X, then known as Twitter post on October 16, 2020. At the time, she told the Salt Lake Tribune that James died from bile duct cancer in his liver. Kyle said her husband's liver disease had returned in 2018 and that the cancer was discovered in November 2019 while he was awaiting a liver transplant. Following James' death, a rep for the actor told People that Robert was mourning with his family during this difficult time and asks for privacy. The rep added, "The grief is immeasurable with the loss of a child. Jamie was a loving son, husband and father. His legacy lives on through his children, art, filmmaking and devoted passion to conservation and the environment." Robert himself opened up about the importance parenting played in his life when he spoke with People for a 1998 cover story. "People think it's been easy for me. That's hard to live with. It's so untrue. The hardest thing in the world is when your children have problems," he said at the time. "There have been so many hits on our family that no one knows about, and I don't want them to, for my family's sake. I've made some interesting movies, and I've been very satisfied with the work, but if someone wrapped it all up and said to me, 'What's your greatest achievement?' I'd say, 'The children. They're the best thing in my life.'"